Okay, guys, I'm back. So I decided to change it up a little bit and take a little slower. So I'll give you guys an introduction to who I am. So my name's Arjun, and I'm trying to get into YouTube. Um, I am a I'm a gamer. Like I have almost 100 games on Steam. I love my favorite genres are first person shooter, strategy, simulation. Total War has been one of, I would say probably among game series, I've spent the most time in the Total War series. So here, I have Rome 2, and in the previous video, I gave an introduction into the different factions, but I wanted to give you an introduction to Rome 2 itself. So for those of you who may not know, Rome 2 is a grand strategy game. Um, there's no good equal to what Total War is. I can't say it's equal to Civilization or Age of Empires. It's kind of a mix of these kind of various themes and gameplay mechanics that you see amongst many strategy games. It's kind of genre defining by itself. So the game itself has a couple features basically. Obviously a prologue. There's a grand campaign which kind of puts you in the middle, in the midst of things, so to speak. So you start off, you can choose one of many civilizations, and you start off in either Asia, North Africa, or Europe, basically. And basically, you have to take this kind of budding civilization over almost, I think, 100 years or 200 years. Basically, take that civilization to victory. Imperator Augustus, this is a recent mode actually, introduced with the Emperor edition of this game, and it basically puts you in. I believe it puts you. Let me check the time. Yeah, it puts you in 41 BC. So in the Grand Campaign you start off in 272 BC. The Imperator Augustus campaign starts you off in 41 BC, kind of when the whole, I believe post assassination of Julius Caesar, and it kind of puts you, like, you can start off as, Octavian, Lepidus, Mark Antony. It kind of like puts you in kind of like the screenshot of the world at the time, and I believe the game's time is also pretty limited. It's yeah, I believe it doesn't go like the grand campaign. I believe you can almost play for 100 plus years. Here, it's obviously much smaller than that. So it's a much more focused kind of iteration, I would say, of Rome. Next we have the DLC. So we have Caesar and Gaul, which is pretty much a kind of a mini game. It's a mini strategy campaign where you're placed into Gaul during 58 BC. So you can start as Julius Caesar, kind of in the south of France, right here as you can see. You can play as the Arverni. You can play as the Suebi, which are Germans. This faction actually you can play in the Grand Campaign as well, as I discussed in the previous video. And the last you can play as the Nervii, I believe. These guys are badass. These guys are... I read about them before. They... ferocious and fearless, even for the warlike Belgian tribes of Northern Gaul. The Nervii are Spartan-like in their conduct. Yeah, these guys are badass. Anyways, you can play one of these four factions and vie for control of France. Next we have Hannibal at the Gates. This is another great DLC for this game. It kind of puts you in the midst of the, I believe, Second Punic War. So yeah, after 20 years after Carthage's cataclysmic defeat in its first war at Rome, the promising general Hannibal has taken command of its mighty mercenary army in Iberia. So it puts you basically in the time just before, I would say, the Second Punic War. And you can play as Carthage, you can play as Rome, as you can see right here, Syracuse. This is it. These last three are interesting. So obviously Carthage and Rome are the big players in this game. They're the big players in this Punic War, in this Carthaginian-Roman kind of conflict. But you have small players too. So you have the city-state of Syracuse, which is this Greek city-state, present, I believe, for quite a while. I think almost 100 years or more in this area. another one of those Greek satellite colonies. And it's kind of up to you. You have to basically kind of see where the cards roll and be opportunistic and make use of the fact that these two biggies in the area are fighting each other and either support one or the other or vie for your own dominance. Same with the Lusitani. I believe it's less... you get less of a choice with the Lusitani because you're kind of right smack dab in the middle of Spain. So Carthage is going to be right here, and you are going to be right here. So you will basically have to get along with Carthage or face their wrath. So I would say it's a much more difficult position. But, you know. Then lastly, you have the Aravaci, which, again, you border Carthage. I would say initially you have to maintain a good diplomatic relation with them. But again, you aren't really allied with any existing major superpower, so if you play your cards correctly, you could possibly vie for your own dominance. And lastly, we have Wrath of Sparta, which is another great DLC, which unfortunately I do not own, but I believe that one takes place in the Greek peninsula, and I believe puts you in the middle of the Peloponnesian War with Athens. I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, guys. So here I want to start a grand campaign. I decided I'm going to start as Rome. It's a good kind of foray if you're not familiar with the series of Total War, or not familiar with Rome Total War itself. Rome has always been probably the most favorite ancient civilization. And there's so many reasons for that, but Rome, I mean, the glory of Rome, right? So, I will read out the descriptions here. For those of you who are interested in that, you can skip forward a little bit. Rome will rule the world. It is her destiny and has always been. Claiming a line of descent back to Hercules, Romans are not lacking in civic pride. Romans are not lacking in fierceness. Their city was founded by Romulus and Remus, twins raised by a wolf. Their armies may have been beaten, but they have always dragged themselves back into any fight and battled on. And now, surrounded by rivals and potential enemies, Rome faces challenges at every turn. He who rules in Rome can rule the world, but only through the glory of conquest. So true. So, we have, so basically each civilization here has certain perks that you start off with. I can take an example. For example, Carthage. Carthage, they were known for trading. I mean, they were excellent Mediterranean traders. So you start off with Phoenician trade heritage, which gives you 10% wealth from all commerce buildings. And as you guys also know, they were huge mercenary recruiters. So this perk makes a lot of sense. Mercenary armies. 25% reduction in mercenary upkeep costs. So these perks are really good. They don't have to... They're not set in stone. You don't, if you're playing as Carthage, you can recruit local troops. You're not forced to recruit mercenaries. But if you decide to, you can make you can save a lot of money by than other civilizations would, because mercenaries are super expensive. They are so expensive to maintain and upkeep. Anyways, so for Rome, we have one perk, Roman Legions, which is +1 recruitment slot in all your provinces. This is so helpful. So the game limits you as to the number of troops you can recruit every season. So I believe the normal is 4, or I think either 3 or 4. So a +1 increase in recruitment is almost a 25% increase in the amount of troops you can recruit per year. As you can imagine, that will make a huge difference in your kind of military expansion, which other civilizations won't get. And next we have bread and circuses. So food is very important. Starvation will wreck your empire. Starvation will cause slave revolts. Starvation will cause unhappiness, economic downturn. I would say this is not that important late game, so to speak, because you already have a lot of infrastructure up already. But in the beginning, when you don't have that infrastructure, that food can make a big difference. We have 3 factions here. I'll give a brief summary of each one. So here we have the House of Julia. Obviously, I'll read out its description. Originally from Alba Longa, the Julii clan are an ancient patrician family with a tradition of attaining high office dating back centuries. The most famous of the clan was, of course, Gaius Julius Caesar, who became lifelong dictator. Junia. Perhaps blessed by the goddess Juno, for whom the month of June is named, the Junii are one of the most respectable families in Rome. This reputation rests on the labors of Lucius Junius Brutus, who drove out the last Roman king, Tarquinius Superbus. And Cornelia. The Cornelia clan are among the most illustrious of Roman families. More became consuls, generals, and statesmen than from any other family. Among them, the Scipios and the Sullas are especially notable. Sulla Felix, the famous dictator, was a member of this family. This is so true. So I believe one of the most famous members of the Scipii family, Scipius Africanus, I'm not sure, was actually the one that won the Punic War, the Third Punic War for the Romans. So all three of these families are very influential, very, very famous patrician families. Again, they have different perks. So there's a reason that you could choose one or the other of these. So the Julian family, the perks are barbarian subduers. You get plus 10% morale during battles against barbarian tribes. So this is very good for if you want to just expand northward into Gaul, into Germany. There's a downside, though. You have 25% increase in public order penalties due to presence of foreign cultures. So you're not that tolerant. You do convert people to your culture faster, but while they're of a different culture, you will have more public order issues. Junia. Here we have Founding Fathers, which is a public order bonus from presence of Latin culture. We have Agrarian Wisdom, which is 10% wealth from farms, agricultural buildings, and the like. And we have Political Underdogs. So here you have a diplomatic penalty. So people don't like the Junii that much. That is a problem. It's not, I would say, it might not be that apparent, but diplomatic penalties can add up. They can add up. If you go to war, if you betray someone, and if you already are disliked by people, they will hate you. So you have to be much more careful as a Junii, I believe, when it comes to diplomacy. And last is Cornelia. These people are just excellent administrators. You have plus 3% tax rate across the board, so just more money coming in. You have a diplomatic bonus with all Greek factions, so the Greeks love you. Athens, Sparta, Epirus. So that's good. If you want to, I would say, don't choose this if you want to expand into Macedon, because they could be very good allies for you, since they already like you. And if you want to expand into Greece, and you choose Cornelia, and you break their trust, it might not be the best thing. But again, you have public order penalties from presence of Latin culture. So it's funny, the difference between the Julii and the Cornelii. So the Julii, you dislike foreign cultures. But the Cornelii, your patricians, the leaders of your family and faction, they dislike the plebs. There is disdain for plebs. So there's actually a public order penalty from the presence of your own culture. So it's an interesting mechanic that you have to balance, I believe. For this campaign, I think I'm gonna go with the good old Julii. It's my favorite out of these three, honestly. Yes, you have a foreign culture penalty, but if you construct the proper buildings, I believe you can minimize that by converting them, because you do have a +4 increase in cultural conversion. So there's that. Also, the 10% morale during battles, it just helps so much. And I think I'm going to be expanding towards the north. I'm not sure yet, but it always will help you if your men are just stronger against the barbarians. Here we have an options page where you can just choose what kind of options you want. I don't need advisor help. New players definitely can set this to low or high. I'll keep AI player moves at limited, and that looks fine. These are the different victory conditions. So there's 3 victory conditions for this game. You can have a military victory, which is just expansion, domination of, I believe, 90 settlements, completely controlling these 6 provinces. Then there's a economic and cultural victory. I've never played towards these victories because this was a new feature introduced in Rome. Rome's Total War has always, again, been geared towards war. So, but it's fine. They introduced these, separate kind of victory conditions. So, cultural victory, you basically need to control these 6 provinces, and you need to research all these technologies. You need to construct these, wonders. So, it's different it's geared towards a different kind of strategy gamer, so to speak. But I'll go towards a military victory this time. So okay, without further ado, let us jump in.
You are at war with the Etruscan League. March north and capture their territories. This will allow you to consolidate Italia and ensure the safety of Roma. You must wage war if you hope to extend your dominion. Syracuse and Carthage own territory in Magna Graecia, so conflict with them is inevitable if you wish to expand across the Mediterranean. Otherwise, they may prove useful allies against Etruria or the Gaulish tribes to the north. Come what may, Rome will triumph.
Alright guys, that was the introduction right there. So, here we have our first objective. We have to completely control 2 provinces, either by direct ownership or through client states and military allies. I can't even pronounce that, so I'm not going to try, but I believe it's translated to assent to my bold undertakings. Okay, I'll try. Audacibus annue coeptis. From humble beginnings come great things. Take your first step and establish a foothold from which to launch your people to greatness. If we finish this objective, we'll get 2,500 added into our treasury. Okay guys, so this is where we start off. This is the map, as you can see. Most of it is a fog of war. We're not able to see it because we haven't explored that much. But obviously, as you can see from this mini map, it's a huge map. We have all of Europe here, ranging from Britain to southern Spain to Eastern Europe. We have Asia here, so we have Saudi Arabia, we have Turkey, we have I believe the Iranian area. I believe this is I believe this is India right here. So I think the map kind of goes all the way to the border of the Indus right over here. I believe, if I'm not wrong, I believe this right here is the Indus. So it's a pretty big map. It's a really, really big map. Anyway, so we're Rome, and we start off with 2 provinces here. As you can see, let me open the provinces tab. We start off with Italia. So each province has certain, I believe, settlements. So this province of Italia has 4 settlements: Roma, Neapolis, Velathri, and Ariminum. So we actually don't control these last 2, but we do control Roma and Neapolis. So we control about half this province right now. Once we control the entire province, so once we capture Velathri and Ariminum, we will gain access to something called edicts, which is basically a province-wide kind of perk that we can put. So we can so there's like 4 of them. Tax harvesting. We can vie to increase taxes. We can increase public order. We can have more wealth from commerce buildings or reduce slave population. And lastly, we can increase the conversion to Latin culture. So again, that's when we control the entire province here. The other kind of province we semi-control is Magna Graecia. So here we have Brundisium right here. Brundisium, sorry. It is, so I didn't mention actually, each province is the capital of the province. So obviously the capital of the Italian province is Roma. The capital of the Magna Grecian province is Brundisium right here. And as you can see, it is a walled province. So these capital provinces are walled. That's unlike the other provinces. So if you go back to Italia, you can see Rome is this large province that's a walled province. But Neapolis is not walled. It's I wouldn't call it a village, but it's a smaller town. Again, up here, as you guys can probably see, Velathri is not walled, nor is Ariminum. So your capital of your province will be your only walled settlement. So in case your province is being attacked, you usually retreat into the walled province in order to hold that walled settlement, in order to hold it most effectively. So coming back to Magna Graecia here, we have Brindisi, we have Cosentia right here, which is a very, very small town, unwalled. We have Syracuse, which is obviously Syracuse. And we have Lilybaeum, which is the 4th settlement. So I'll tell you guys some of what these symbols mean. So here we can see I control these 2 provinces. So I can see the buildings in this province. I can elect to construct new buildings, expand the city. Syracuse is right here. They, I believe, are my allies. I believe so. So I'm actually able to see what kind of buildings they have in their city and what their public order is and some various info on their city. However, I am not allies with Carthage, obviously. So I'm not able to see what is in their city. However, as you can see there, if I send a spy there, they would be able to see what is in their city. So that's kind of how the province interface works. Let's close this. Okay, guys. To start off with, we have agents in this game, so this is my spy. I start off with only one spy. They're able to kind of roam around the map undetected and kind of give me information as to, for example, what is in this area. Because right now, as you can see with the fog of war, I'm not able to tell if there's any armies here, if there's any army defending this area, or here, nothing. So I'll go ahead and send this spy up north.
Moving unseen.
Alrighty, as I can see, there is... So I believe, let's open the diplomacy screen. So this is the diplomacy screen. Here I can see all the factions that I know currently. There's a lot more, but these are only known factions. And I can see factions that I'm at war with, at peace with, are my allies. Right now I believe I was wrong actually. Syracuse is not my ally. So I believe that my only enemy currently is the Etruscan League, which is up here. And that's actually historically accurate. So in this time period, I believe 272 BC, Rome was still an infant. It had only declared itself a republic 200 years prior to that, and it still didn't have hegemony over Italy, so to speak, the entire Italian peninsula. So Etruscan League was a big player. I believe the Etruscan League used to control a lot more areas, but they were, I believe, in a couple wars with Rome in the past, and Rome had actually chipped away at their dominance. So naturally, you start off at war with them, and Rome at this point, I mean, you're strong, but as you can see, you don't control much. You only control a small southern area of Italy. So you are not the whole stereotypical large empire that people associate with Rome. Not yet, but will be, hopefully. So here we have these known factions, so I can arrange them here based on their attitude towards me. So no one really likes me. If people like me, this would be green. So as you can see, most people are neutral towards me. People who hate me, so to speak, definitely the Etruscan League, they are at war with me, and they are hostile towards me, as you can see here. This kind of screen shows you like the different kind of the pros and cons, what they approve of, what they disapprove of. So they approve of like my culture. I guess we're both Latin culture, but they disapprove that we, first of all, obviously we're at war with them, and also that I guess we took military actions against Carthage, so they disapprove of that as well. They probably have some treaty with Carthage themselves. Next we have Epirus. So Epirus is over here in the Greek peninsula. They also are hostile towards me. So Rome obviously had taken actions against Epirus before in the past. I believe that's what it's referring to, is the Pyrrhus of Epirus, the whole battle between Rome and Pyrrhus of Epirus, which gave the term to Pyrrhic victory. Carthage is another faction that dislikes me. Again, obviously we're both kind of trying to vie for Mediterranean dominance here, so they're unfriendly towards me right now. They're not hostile, but they're unfriendly, but they're not neutral either. So this kind of, as you can see, some of these are colored red, some of these are colored green. So the green colored ones are the ones we have trade with. So right now we're only trading with Syracuse. I believe that's why we were able to see inside their settlement. So let's arrange these by trade, and let's see if we can trade anyone here. Always try to initiate trade. The more trade, the better.
Speak, and try to do it well.
So what I did here was that I tried to make a trade agreement, but they don't like me so much, so the probability that they would have accepted that was low, so I wasn't even expecting them to accept the trade agreement. These guys are neutral towards me, so maybe I'll be able to make an agreement with them. Let's see.
Greetings. We are civilized folk, so you may speak as you wish, and we will give you an honest
So the
answer.
likelihood of this success is moderate, so hopefully they'll accept my trade agreement. And they didn't.
My
Okay.
people are wealthy in intellect,
Let's see if we
and
can
do not need
make
your goods
a
to add to their material
non-aggression pact. Nope, they will not accept that either. Let's see who we have here. Epirus, Carthage. I doubt Carthage is going to make a trade agreement with me. Let's see, Athens. 2 more.
wealth. Be welcome. If I can give you...
Nope. And lastly, let's see if these guys...
Greetings. Now
Nope.
speak.
So, apparently people don't like me that much. So, no one is willing to trade with me right now, which is unfortunate. I'm trading with Syracuse, so that's one source of... this is the trade and finance tab. So here we can see for trade, yeah, we are only trading with Syracuse. We're getting about 81 from them, which is kind of nothing, given that... So our income every turn is 2,424. So in perspective of that, 81 is nothing. So... I am not the trade empire that I want to be, needless to say. But yeah, we'll work on that. We'll work on that. So let's just jump into... So I see that I'm at war with the Tuscan League right here. I have my spy. My spy revealed their army. So they have a general here, which is a noble infantry, heavy spear infantry, and they have an Italian spearman unit, and they have a skirmishing unit. I outnumber them greatly, as you can see. I have 10 units here, they have only 3, so I'm just going to go ahead and begin the battle. So this is the battle interface here. This is my army. I have 960 men. I have 4 units of medium infantry Hestati. I have my general is mounted, so he's a cavalry unit. I have 5 skirmishing units. These are light skirmishing units. These are very light skirmishing units, and these are light skirmishing units. Oh, okay. So their army actually is getting reinforced. So I only thought that I'm fighting 330 men. I'm in fact fighting more. So they're getting reinforced, I believe, by the garrison at Velatri. So the garrison contains 540 men. So I will be facing... I still outnumber them by not as much as I wanted to. So I'm just going to quick save here. And so this is this is kind of like the balance of forces. So this is the strength of my force versus theirs. So I believe there's almost a 70% chance I should win this. But we're just going to fight on the battlefield and see what happens, guys. See you on the other side. Alright guys, I will end the video here and upload it so that I can start on the 3rd video. But yeah, I'll catch you guys on the other side. Thank you for watching.